What if the words you speak every day are the invisible chains keeping you financially bound? Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and your tongue is the primary key into either your prosperity or poverty. You can determine your financial prosperity with your mouth. Most Christians think poverty comes from circumstances, but what if it's actually flowing from speech patterns that unknowingly activate spiritual laws blocking biblical abundance? Death and life are in the power of the tongue. This isn't metaphor, it's spiritual law. When you declare, "I can't afford it," or "money is tight," you're not just describing your situation, you're creating it. Every word you speak either activates blessing or releases spiritual forces that block God's provision. Proverbs 18:21 makes this explicit. The power of life and death rests in the tongue. Job understood this principle the hard way. In Job 3:25, he confesses, "For the thing I greatly feared has come upon me." Even in his prosperity, he lived in fear, and his words of dread became prophetic declarations that opened doors to the very destruction he was trying to avoid. Your financial confessions work the same way. They either align with God's abundance or partner with the spirit of poverty that wants to keep you bound. But here's where it gets deeper. When you complain about your circumstances, you're doing exactly what kept an entire generation of Israelites from their breakthrough. In Numbers 13:32-33, 10 spies brought back an evil report about the Promised Land, saying, "The land through which we have gone to search it is a land that eateth up the inhabitants thereof. And all the people that we saw in it are men of great stature." They didn't believe that God could help them, and the people as a whole were persuaded that it was not possible to take the land. As a result, the entire nation was made to wander in the desert for 40 years, until almost the entire generation of men had died. Their words became their reality. When you constantly speak about how hard things are, how the economy is terrible, or how you'll never get ahead, you're bringing the same evil report that blocks God's provision from manifesting in your life. After reading about how Job's fearful words became reality and how the Israelites' evil report kept them from their breakthrough, what pattern do you see in your own daily speech? Comment your answer below. Now let's discover the specific biblical phrases that can reverse this curse and unlock God's provision in your life. Jesus revealed the secret to reversing poverty's spiritual grip through the power of biblical speech. In Mark 11:23, he declares, "For verily I say unto you, that whosoever shall say unto this mountain, Be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that those things which he saith shall come to pass, he shall have whatsoever he saith." This isn't about moving literal mountains. It's about speaking God's truth over your financial mountains with unwavering faith. When you replace, "I can't afford it," with, "God supplies all my needs according to his riches and glory," you're activating the same spiritual law that moved mountains for the disciples. Malachi 3:10 gives us God's own challenge. "Test me in this, says the Lord of hosts. See if I will not open the windows of heaven and pour out for you blessing without measure." Instead of declaring your lack, start declaring God's promises over your finances. This is how you partner with heaven's abundance rather than poverty's curse. Jesus warns in Matthew 12:36-37 that, "For every idle word men may speak, they will give account of it in the day of judgment. For by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned." This means your casual complaints about money aren't harmless venting. They're spiritual declarations that create the very poverty you're describing. Take this 24-hour challenge. Go one full day without speaking any lack, limitation, or financial negativity. Replace every "I can't afford it" with "God is my provider." Instead of "money is tight," declare, "God supplies all my needs according to his riches and glory." When you catch yourself starting to complain about bills or expenses, immediately pivot to Philippians 4:19 or Deuteronomy 8:18. This isn't positive thinking. It's aligning your mouth with God's promises instead of partnering with poverty's lies. Your words are either building bridges to blessing or walls against provision. And this challenge reveals exactly which spiritual kingdom your speech serves. Romans 10:8 reveals that the word is near you. It is in your mouth and in your heart. This isn't just about salvation. It's about the continuous power of biblical speech to transform your financial reality. Confession releases salvation, and when you align your daily words with God's promises instead of poverty's lies, you activate the same spiritual law that brings breakthrough. By walking in obedience, working diligently, giving cheerfully, putting God first, and speaking by faith, you align yourself with the flow of divine provision. Your breakthrough isn't years away. It's one confession away from manifestation. When you replace every "I can't afford it" with "God supplies all my needs according to His riches and glory," you're not just changing your speech, you're changing the spiritual atmosphere around your finances and activating heaven's response to faith-filled words. Subscribe now for more biblical wealth secrets